eyes, Lord. Open the eyes of my heart, Lord. Please open my eyes of my heart. 'Cause I want to see you. I want to see you. Okay. But it is good to be with you this morning on this Another Lord's Day. I've been doing some lessons lately on why. Then one of the lessons was why so many whys. And today we're going to look at one about why evil exists. When you think about that, I get questions about that every once in a while. Why does this happen? Why does this happen? I can't answer all those questions, and especially those why questions. But we know that evil is out there. Hurricanes we consider evil. Now we're through with the hurricane season out there, but it's coming back in a couple of 3 months, and it'll be here until November of next year, and then it'll do again. This summer we'll have wildfires, and that's kind of evil if we think about it as being evil, because people's lives are disrupted, their homes are burned, and all of those things. And yet a forest fire is very beneficial to the forest and everything, because it allows other things to grow. Somebody once told me, and I think it's true, and what they said was that there are more board feet. Let's get a proper grammar here maybe. But there are more board feet in America today than there was when they first came to America back in 1500. And I said, how could that be? And they said, because in America, there were trees that were huge, and they didn't allow the small ones to grow because they shaded them and they all died out. So you had huge trees with a lot of board feet. But today we have more board feet because of conservation, because of all of those things. That's not evil, but that's something that is good for us. We have evil where people go to concerts and other people shoot them or shoot at them. We have, people who like to get out there and blow themselves up and blow other people up along with them in those things. We have people who go into churches and they shoot other people in those churches. That's evil. Somebody once asked me about people carrying weapons into church. I don't care. I think it's for our protection more than anything else. And, get over it and just remember that they're not going to use it on you. They're going to use it for your protection when it comes to that. There's always crime. There's always evil. And when you think about that, that began in the Garden of Eden when God told Adam and Eve not to eat of that forbidden fruit. And what did they do? They turned around and they ate of that forbidden fruit, and they were going to die when they did. That was God's promise to them. That was God's law when it came to it. Now, when they ate that fruit, they didn't die right then and there, but they died slowly, because they didn't have the tree of life anymore. So we come back to that question, why evil exists. First of all, the problem of evil is the greatest problem faced by Christians today. Some of those things that I just talked about, of hurricanes and fires and murders and terrorism, all of that is part of that. When I was in college, I took logic. Yeah, I did. I took logic. And there was one word, it's called a syllogism. Now, a syllogism compares this to this. And here's one of them that we could probably, and it's not true, because many syllogisms are not true. God created everything. I think everybody agrees with that. God created everything. Evil is in the world, therefore God created evil. That's a false statement. That's a false syllogism when it comes to that. We used to say when I was in college that the Freed-Hardeman, I went to Freed-Hardeman University down in Henderson, Tennessee, and every year they had a lectureship. Every February, guess what? Every February down there, it snowed. They've closed the college, and so there's not a lectureship this year. The college is still in existence. Don't think that it's not. But the lectureship's not going to happen this year because of this kind of weather, even down there. But the syllogism that they would use is, there's nothing better than heaven. Freed Hardeman lectureships are better than nothing, therefore Freed Hardeman lectureships are better than heaven. No, that doesn't work either. You see, we can use words, we can twist words, we can tell lies in so many ways. I have a book in my library, it's called How to Lie with Statistics. You know, you can do that very easily. Take a congregation that just starts, and the preacher says, we doubled our congregation this last month. Okay, doubled it. Doesn't that sound good? Except he didn't say there was only 2 of us there, and now we have 4. Did he double it? Yes. But it's really basically, it's lying with statistics about those things. In Genesis 1 and verse 31, God saw that all he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning the 6th day. God saw that everything that he created from day 1 to day 6 was good. And in fact, one of the things he said, yea, it is very good. That's what God points out about those things. Now we wonder where the evil comes from. We'll get into that in just a moment. In Colossians chapter 1, verse 16, it's another verse that points out about the creation. It says, for by him all things were created. He's talking about Jesus. By him all things were created. In John chapter 1 and verse 1, we find what John points out. He says, all things came into being through him. It begins in that verse 1 of that he is the Word, and all things were created by him and for him. Well, that's the thing that we have to understand. God created. And he continues to create all of those things. We need to understand all of that. In Isaiah 14, verse 12 through verse 15, he says, now you have fallen from heaven. He's not talking about Jesus. He's not talking about mankind. He's talking about the devil. And he says, you have fallen from heaven, O star of the morning, son of the dawn. You have been cut down to the earth. You who were weakened, you who have weakened the nations. But you said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God, and I will sit on the mount of assembly in the recesses of the north. Now, what is he saying? Isaiah is pointing out that the devil fell from heaven. Where to? To this earth. And the point is that the devil was evil after God created him, not before. And you have to understand also that the devil is a created being. He's not God. He is a created being. And all of the angels in heaven are created beings, just like Satan. But his pride and all of those things got away from him, and he began to think he was just better than God and that he would be there. God thrust him down from heaven. God didn't create evil. God created freedom of choice. We choose. We make a choice of whether we're going to do something or not. That's the reason why that at the beginning it said that this is the worst thing that Christians face. And that is evil that is in the world. And it's easy to get caught up in it, in those things. But God created free choice. He didn't create evil. Well, secondly, without the freedom of choice, there can be neither love nor good. I want you to think about that for a moment. Do we choose to love someone? Yeah. Do we choose to hate someone? Yeah. It's our choice. That's the thing that we have to understand. And also along with that, do we choose to do good? Yes. Did Adam and Eve are the most high over all the earth? You are exalted far above all gods. Now, when we read a verse like that and it says, gods, you're above all gods, it doesn't mean that there are other gods like God. It just simply means whatever is worshiped that is not God himself is a small god. It's evil in God's sight. And it ought to be evil in our sight. In Psalms 135 and verse 6, the psalmist also says here, he said, the Lord does whatever pleases him in the heavens and on the earth, in the seas, and all their depths. God chooses to do good. Never once in the Bible do you ever find God doing evil. In fact, he can't do evil because it's impossible for him to do so. In the same way that the Hebrew writer writes that it's impossible for God to lie. When he promised something, it's there, it's assured. Now, there may be conditions for it, but he can't lie. In Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, after Jesus was crucified on the cross, after he rose from the dead, he came to his disciples. He says, and Jesus came up and spoke to them, saying, all authority has been given unto me in heaven and on earth. Jesus, the very Son of God, all authority has been given to him, not to the devil. You know, we sometimes think that the devil is all powerful. He's not. He's not any more powerful than we let him be. What happens? We let him be powerful. He is the prince of darkness. He is evil. He is the ruler of demons, and that is those that follow him. He rules over them. But notice what Jesus points out to his disciples, and that is all authority. Not a little bit of it, but all of it has been given unto him in heaven and on earth. In Matthew chapter 19, verse 26, and it deals with Jesus pointing out that a rich man, it's hard for a rich man to get into heaven. Okay? And the disciples were questioning Jesus and say, well, if it's impossible, what's going to happen? Jesus points this out. Jesus looked at him and said, with man, this is impossible. And he just talked about the camel going through the eye of a needle, the rich man going into heaven. Same thing. What he's saying there, he says, with this, man says it's impossible. But with God, all things are possible. God can do anything. All good things, not evil things. In Hebrews 4 and verse 13, he says, and there is no creature hidden from his sight, but all things are open and laid bare to his eyes, or to the eyes of him with whom we have to do. The writer here is pointing out something to us. There's nothing hidden from God. There's no sin hidden from God. There's no human hidden from God. There's no animal hidden from God. All things are there. We can't hide anything from God. We may think we can. Always like that thing that people have said. And, you know, when I say what people have said, I want you to understand that not everybody says it. But there are some that say, well, I'm going on vacation and nobody knows me there, so I can do whatever I want. I'm sorry. There is one that knows what you're doing, and that's the God of heaven. And so we don't get away with those things, and we don't, we need to understand that. In Isaiah chapter 46 and verse 10, he said, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times, things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure. God will do those things. God will make sure that those things are not hidden. Now, I'm skipping a couple of verses there, but I'm going on to my third point. God can use evil to bring about good purposes. We find that hard to accept, I think, many times. That because something happens, that God uses that for good. Something bad happens. In Romans chapter 9, verses 19 through 22, he said, "You will say to them, why does he still find fault? For who resists his will? On the contrary, who are you, O man, who answers back to God? The things molded will not say to the molder, why did you make me like this? Will it? Will the thing molded say that to God? Well, guess what? That's exactly what we are to God. We are things molded. Because if you go back to Genesis chapter 1 and you find man being created, it says that God took the dust from the ground and made man. He molded him. He shaped him. Our purpose is not to question God about what God does. Our purpose really is to do what God wants us to do in comparison to those things. Or does not the potter have the right over the clay to make from the same lump one vessel for honorable use and another for common use? What if God, although willing to demonstrate his wrath and to make his power known, endure with such patience vessels of wrath prepared for destruction? Why does God endure those things? Why does God have patience with those who do evil in this world? It's because he made them. The blind man was made to see for a purpose. What did Jesus do? Jesus healed his blindness for a purpose, to show that he was the Son of God and that he is the Son of God. In James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, he said, consider it all joy. Can you imagine it now? When we suffer, when we're put on trials of affliction, James is saying, count it all joy. I don't know about you, but my hip has been out for about 3 days. I've still done things, but I spent all day yesterday in a nice, truthful word for this piece of furniture. I spent all day yesterday in a lazy boy, trying to get my hip to quit bothering me so that I could do whatever I needed to do. Do I count that as joy because I'm suffering pain? James said, yeah. He said, consider it all joy, my brethren, when you encounter various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, and let endurance have its perfect result, so that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. I saw many of you walking in this morning, and you were walking in limping, slowly, grabbing hold of things. Why? Because of that weather out there, for one reason. Because of some of the pains that we go through. God doesn't promise us a life without pain. He does promise us that we will be tried. But God will not tempt us. We're just simply tempted by ourselves. Let me give you an example here. Genesis chapter 50 and verse 50. And this is after Joseph and his brethren are reunited. He says, as for you, and it's Joseph talking to his brothers. He says, as for you, you meant evil against me. What did they do? They threw him into a pit. They sold him to the Midianites. He was in slavery. And he rose to the second highest position in all of Egypt. He said, you meant it as evil against me. but God meant it for good. God used that. He used what happened to Joseph for the good of the Israelite nation. In Romans 8, verse 28, he says, and we know that God causes all things to work together for good, to those that love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Understand this verse doesn't say everything in the world is good. It said God causes those things to be used for good. And it's up to us to make the choice of whether we're going to do it or not. Lastly, this morning, the worst event in all of human history has brought about the greatest benefit ever for mankind. It was the cross. It was the death of Jesus on the cross. History is chock full of horrible events. We can read about them. The one that always sits in our mind, what's the worst thing that has happened to the United States in our lifetime? We always say 9/11. But there are a lot of events that have happened in our lifetime. The worst event in everyone's lifetime throughout history is the death, the crucifixion of God's Son on the cross. However, the suffering of Jesus, the dying of Jesus on the cross, gave man a victory over death and the grave. Do you realize that when Jesus died and rose again, he put to death death? That's what he did. The Hebrew writer points that out. He put to death death. The question that always comes up is, have we accepted that crucifixion of Jesus, that event? Remember why Jesus sacrificed himself on the cross? Even when we were without hope, Romans chapter 5, Jesus died for us. And we need to know that the Creator God, who loves us, is in control of everything. As we close the lesson this morning, I ask the question, who's in control of your life? That's an answer that you make. It's a rhetorical question, so you just make up an answer that you want. Who's in control of your life? Now, I ask a second question with that. Is it God? Because that's what it ought to be. Or is it sin and evil? We need to get rid of all of that sin and evil in our lives and let God be in control of what we do, of what we say. I like that passage of Scripture in Colossians. And right now the verse escapes me. Whatever you do, in word or in deed, do it all in the name of the Lord, by his authority. Let's get rid of sin. Let's get rid of evil in our lives. Out there, it's going to be there until the Lord returns. If you need to respond to the Lord's invitation, we give you an opportunity to respond while together we stand and we sing this song of encouragement.
Who else commands all the hosts of heaven? Who else could make every king bow down? Who else could whisper and darkness tremble? Only a holy God. Come and behold him, the one let the whole